welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. Here are your hosts, Lady Alba and Lord Night.
Okay, Lord Night. So, what the hell are we as groups go? Are we covens? Are we groves?
Are we temples?
Are we temples? Are we churches? I don't know. There's so many options. And I think what's funny is that the choices are endless, right? But coven itself has become a bad word.
Yes.
Why?
It's all the connotations to it. It's for some reason, people seem to want to associate covens with cults. And I think it's because of the secrecy, mystery, religion that it is.
But it's just a shortening of covenstead.
Yes.
Which
is home.
More or less,
yes.
Or a gather.
Yeah.
It's a group gathering together. Yeah. Churches were called covensteads at one point.
Now, that I did not know.
Long time. I mean, but that was where it originated. I mean, yeah. So...
But now you sit there and you ask people what coven they're a part of, and it's like, oh, God. I don't know how to explain that. Like, you just asked them the most evilest question in the world.
I know. It kind of sucks because coven for many of us was a reclaiming word, right?
Right.
To use the word coven, it was, first of all, it was a very quick association, right? It was very easy to go, okay, coven, witch, got it. Easy. But, so like in our case, Life Temple, if I remember correctly, Lord Min called it a temple because often people just assumed we were Jewish.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Because that's the only other faith that uses
the word
that
temple.
word, regularly. But what he meant was more as like temple, like Egyptian.
Yes.
More a temple of worship.
Right.
Yeah.
Which again has always been our focus is on the worship religious side of this, not
right. I mean, I think so often the name is usually derived, or what version gets used is the founder's association, right? Or what they are drawn to. So if you're oceanic water sign, you're going to go with something that's ocean or sea or lake or one of those. Whereas grove or forest or, that's an option that some people choose because of the worshiping in the woods kind of component, the forestry, the earth connection.
Right.
And then some groups, they just went with church because they're like, that's what we are.
That's right.
We're just a church. Okay, so here's been what I've always wanted to do.
Okay.
I want Ocean Moon Grove. Oh. So that the abbreviation becomes OMG. Yes. Yes. OMG.
Well, see, now, this is all funny because we're talking about all this, but let's be honest. In the traditional community in which we run around in,
yes,
we never refer to each other as, oh, well, that's their coven. That's their...
No,
it's always,
weirdly enough...
We only refer to each other by the name.
Yes. It just becomes a shortening. So, yes, it becomes Tawathakar Dashi or Grove of the Unicorn or Ravenwood or
it's just Life Temple.
Yeah, we always have the temple in there because just to say life, people would get confused.
Right.
So they need the temple to quantify the group. But yeah, I mean, Ravenwood technically, right, their name is... Ravenwood Church of the Old Religion. No one's using that in full title. Why? That would be silly. And then we just refer to each other as traditions.
Right.
Really. Not even groups. Or you will hear group.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. My group is in North Carolina or, whatever. Yeah.
Or you'll hear, I follow the Ravenwood tradition.
Yes.
It's not the traditions like you hear the majority of the times out in the wild public of Gardnerian, Alexandrian, blah. These are very specific.
Yes, extremely specific to the area in which you live or state, city, etc.
So now with that in there, why in the world has Coven become such this and associated with this authoritarian? Because we don't really use it in this way that they're talking about.
No, but we do, but we don't, but we do, but we don't. It's like, I think the biggest thing is it automatically, for most people, right, it means order. That's what no one likes. It's order. It's order and it's structure and it's that sameness that we strive to achieve inside of Circle.
Right.
That others don't like. They want the willy-nilly. They want it to be...
They want that spiritual aspect of religion.
But they don't want it to be rigid or militant or predictable. They find that to be too confining for their faith or their practice, which I find very strange.
Well, I mean, because we actually handle this, I think, in a very mature way. Again, our priestesses handle our spiritual, and it is us priests who handles our mundane.
Well, yes. But...
So we're able to re-inject that spirituality when you're in religions to where you have to have a committee about a committee to see if you're going to have a committee about the problem.
Yes. That's part of it, for sure. But I find that the mechanics are what people have issue with, right? And I look at it this way. I go, everything that I do inside of Circle is choreographed. It's orchestrated. It has been practiced to the point where I know it without having to think about it. And it is that frees up my mind for the spiritual working at hand. If I'm worried about where my foot is going next, I'm not going to achieve
that.
Yeah, the same level of connection.
Because you're so worried about doing the process instead of enjoying the process.
The physical, the mundane becomes overpowering throughout it. But at the same time, I really do think that's what some people are railing against. And I wish they would understand it's not a bad thing. It's not what it means. We're not taking away your individuality by doing that. We're not.
No. I mean, at some point or another, you have to sit there and go, okay, ritual's going to be held at this time. Class is going to be at this time.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, if you go into the spiritual too much, you go into too much chaos.
Yes.
And you never know. And then you wind up with doing the pagan standard time.
But people also, I think, the group dynamic has become one where no one likes being told they're wrong. And I mean, nobody likes that anyway.
No.
But the difference is, back in the day, right, if you got told you were wrong, you went, okay, why?
Yeah.
And it opened up a discussion. And everybody talked. And maybe you walked away with a new perspective or a new viewpoint. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you dug your heels in and you held true to where you stood when you walked in the door. But either way, we all just went, meh, it's okay.
It's okay.
And it was fine. Now, it seems like when you tell a new witch, a young witch, a whatever, someone who's been practicing for a few years, if you tell them they're wrong, quote unquote.
Right.
That's it. It's over. The discussion ends. They just don't want to be told that. They don't want to be told that their practice, their way, their method is incorrect.
Right. Everything they have put their time and effort into is not.
But I always go, then how do we grow? If we're not ever willing to stop and dissect what we're doing and say, maybe this isn't right, how do I grow? How do I learn anything more? How do I advance? Because I'm just going off of my own ideas.
You're spinning your own wheels.
You're operating in a vacuum.
Yeah. You're being a little hamster on his little wheel, running as fast as you can and not going nowhere.
Yeah. I will always go back to, as simple as it is, there was an instance when I was a neophyte, and I don't remember I don't remember all the details because I probably wasn't privy to them, honestly. But a first degree was making an incense in a mortar and pestle, and they were moving the pestle direction-wise. It was, whether it was Widdershins or DSL, I don't remember, but they were moving in a very particular... And you went, why are you doing that?
I remember that.
And goddess help the poor first degree who went, because Lady Maya told me to. I thought you were going to take the mortar and pestle and throw them across ritual space. You were livid. And it wasn't because of what they said. It was the fact that that statement was problematic for a witch. You don't do it because someone else told you to. Why? No. Why are you doing that? What purpose does it serve? What is the logic, the reasoning? There's more to it.
Right. There's no right or wrong answer. I want to know why.
Yes. And it was obviously an issue you had or seen with this person before. Hence the thing I wasn't privy to. There was something else going on there. But it was just so funny. And I remembered, but that's some of what we face nowadays, is that people, especially we're seeing it a lot with the hereditary witches.
Yes.
The people who are now coming up and going, which, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying it, but like, yeah, I mean, you have people who are between 15 and 25 years of age who were raised by practicing witches who are probably around our age.
Yeah.
And they are now considered to be hereditary witches because they were raised in a household of witchcraft. Fine. But a lot of those hereditary folks, when you ask them or when you question aspects of their practice, they go, this is what I was told to do. Or this is what my mom did. This is what my grandmother did. This is what my uncle did.
This is what we've always done.
But why? They don't have an answer.
Well, again, we normally illustrate this because I love to tell this story.
I know where you're going. It is a great story.
All right. Well, Blaze happens to love this story, so here we go. There was once a little girl whose mother made the best roast. Mm-hmm. So she asked her dad, Mom, what makes your roast taste so good? Well, I cut the ends off. Well, why does that make it so good? I don't know. Your grandmother did it that way. When she gets here, you can ask her. Grandma shows up. Little girl climbs up into her grandma's like, why does cutting the ends of the roast off make it taste good? Well, I don't know. My mom told me that. As soon as your nanny gets here, you can ask her.
Great grandma walks in the door.
Great grandma walks into the door.
It's more likely.
The girl crawls up into her great grandmother's lap going, why does cutting off the ends of the roast make it taste better? She stopped for a moment and thought about it. She said, Lord, child, I used to do that just to make it fit in the pan.
Yes.
Ask why.
Yes.
Please.
That is so much of what is lacking. And it's ironic because, okay, that little girl just had the audacity to ask. Often when you're growing up in a hereditary family, there are many, many things you will get a deferred answer on. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that when you're older. I'll tell you that when you're older. Oh. That's a mystery for when you're older. Those are the kinds of things you'll hear. Now, the problem is, if you continue on into your adult life, assuming at some point that you know the answer, you've figured it out, but you never actually ask the question, hey, remember that thing that you said we would talk about it while I'm older? Well, I'm older.
Can we talk about that now?
Yeah. You don't ever actually have that confirmation. You're just assuming. So it is very, very wise to have those conversations. I would like to believe that no one is challenging your beliefs. They are simply opening up a discussion. Are there probably a few people that are, in fact, challenging your beliefs? Sure. But for the most part, when most groups, pagans, covens, priestesses, high priests, when we approach, that is our objective, is to have a conversation and to share valuable information so everyone is enriched.
Yes.
It is not because we're trying to discredit you.
Or to make you feel bad.
Yeah, or take something away from you. How the hell can I take that away from you?
I am not going to tell you how many students I've had to talk down after almost setting my sleeve on fire over the years. And it's kind of like, calm down. Everybody does it at some point.
Yes. But I really, truly, I've always kind of found it interesting how upset people get now.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're 20 years old and you tell me you're a hereditary witch and your mom was pregnant with you when she was initiated, what the hell can I take away from you? Nothing.
Nothing.
You are what you say you are. It's fine. Now, does that mean that my church will necessarily recognize you as a degreed member of craft? No.
No.
But does it mean that I'm taking anything away from what you've learned thus far? No. It just means if you were to want to pursue education or opportunity with a traditional group like mine, we would go, listen, we get it. We understand. But just so you know, at some point, you'd have to go after your first degree.
Yes.
Because as it stands right now, you would not be a practicing member of clergy.
Nope.
That's it. That's all it means. It's not that big a freaking deal.
Well, see, I always find it hard and difficult when people don't realize that we are the clergy.
Yes.
And we need to act and behave
Yes.
as such.
Yes.
And train ourselves as such.
Look, there are an awful lot of people from various backgrounds who will approach their view of their coven instead, the things that they were taught, with an air of superiority. You know what? It's because they worked for it. They did.
Yeah.
They worked for it. They worked their ass off to attain that knowledge and that level. So forgive them if they come across a little uppity. But for the most part, I promise you, their intentions are decent. And this is the discussion we have to open up if we expect craft to survive
Yes.
and to evolve forward. Because if we don't, we're in big trouble. Because covens are not seeing numbers like they used to.
No.
Yeah.
No. And there are points to them. There are advantages.
Well, you also have, and again, we're just being totally honest here. There have been those who have abused the titles, who have done shitty things,
Yep.
who have taken liberties with their members. I mean, there's all kinds of crap. But part of that is, again, investigate. Ask questions.
Really investigate and ask questions about the temple you're wanting to join.
I mean, I meet a lot of women who are very concerned about the goings-on, right?
Yes.
With the priests of a church. I'm like, just talk to some people. Go to one ritual, one event. If you get the heebies, leave. That's it. You're not going to put yourself in a shitty position. Don't.
And I mean, you don't have to go by yourself.
No.
Take a friend.
I have even gone so far, and this is as a degreed initiate, if I was unclear on a group's practice and I didn't feel like I quite had a handle on what was going on, I would ask if I could observe.
Yeah.
I would like to sit outside of circle. Is it okay if I observe? No one says no. They don't care.
The only way that's going to say no is if
It's a closed event of some kind.
Right.
And I mean, you wouldn't be invited to that anyway.
No.
But, I mean.
You wouldn't even know that was going on.
Exactly. So, I mean, there is nothing wrong in exploring options. You may be quite surprised at the community that you do find and the resources that you find are available to you.
I mean, you're in a room with people that believe pretty close to what you do with all sorts of life experience you ain't never had.
Yep.
And you walk away for such a bank of information and knowledge. And
even my daughter, who by far of most of the, she's not a social creature. Okay, she's just not. She's just not a big people person. Throughout her training and her time in the church, she doesn't do a lot of extracurricular social activities. She doesn't hang out with her classmates very often. She just kind of does her own thing. Now, does it mean that they've not had still a meaningful bond that's been formed, or that, you know, they, of course, but she's choosing not to allow the church to be a social outlet.
right.
More than it needs to be. She's like, nope, this is what I'm here to do. And that's totally fine. And a lot of people make that decision. We can't force you to socialize. We're not going to force you to have, you know, to go on bowling night or what. Not that we've ever done a bowling night to my knowledge, but you know.
Maybe we should.
Maybe we should. But yeah, you are free to come and do as you please. It's okay. So just keep that in mind. Really ask yourself, am I gaining something by being solitary? Or am I denying myself an opportunity to learn by continuing to be solitary?
Good way to ask.
Yeah. I need more coffee. How about that?
I do
for an
too.
ask. Okay.
Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another episode. Pagan Coffee Talk is brought to you by Life Temple and Seminary. Please visit us at lifetempleseminary.org for more information, as well as links to our social media: Facebook, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning